to the cloud. Great. Good morning. I see some of you beautiful people. Awesome. All right. Good morning, everyone. Let me turn on my video. Here you go. Good morning and welcome to David's Deep Dive. Every Tuesday, I come straight at you live and in person, as you say, because I want to be able to give you information that is valuable to your business as well as your life. And today, I really, I was preparing for this over the last few days, trying to think of what the topic could be, because usually I have an outline of topics that I really want to cover. And then sometimes I have to throw an audible in there and just kind of say, hey, look, we're going to do something different. And this was a different because I wanted to bring home something that I think is severely important and misunderstood in today's world. And it's something that I think if you understand it, it really will change the course and the direction of your life. Like, I mean that. This is such a powerful idea and a powerful concept because many people don't and ever think about this. This is really what it is. It's not because it's mind-blowing stuff. It's really just people don't think about it. So let's go into this, okay? So my name is David A. Pettis. If I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, you can go to my website, get my book. I call myself the Chief Economy Builder in my company because that's what I want to do for you and anybody in their life. I believe your right today is to build an economy that's unshakable, something that can't be destroyed, can't be shattered, can't be harmed, can't be hurt, because in today's world with so much uncertainty and so many things going on in the world, I would tell you that there's no better time than now to prepare for anything. And that's through building your own economy. So today I'm going to talk about the power of building a network. So what is a network? It's a good question, right? And before I get this is for anybody, okay? I don't want to get there, but what is a network? Network is, it's an interactive, it's a way to interact with others to engage information and develop professional and social contacts. That's the real definition by Merriam-Webster. Now, really what a network is a group that you associate with. It's the people that you associate with. So for an example, this could be your family. This is your network. It's the beginning of your network, to be very honest with you. Many of us will network with our family most often. It's the people who live in our homes. It's our children. It's our brothers and sisters. It's our aunts and our uncles. It's our parents. It's the people that we interact with and exchange information to develop personal and social contacts. Now, you can extend that and say this could be your church. These are the people that you congregate with. They're people that you go out and associate with. This could also be your group of friends, the people that you actually hang out with on a social level, people who you're looking to engage with, maybe play golf with or go fishing with or go do something with. You see, these are groups that you're going to hang out with, and this is part of your network. Now, I want you to understand that there are different types of networks, and the way that networks work are really the real networks that we want to focus on are those who benefit the growth and progression of your life. Now, I hate to say this, but many people actually have networks that just don't serve them. So for the purpose of this presentation, I'll tell you that the network that serves them is the network that progresses their life. Now, for me to tell you that, everybody would say, well, my family wants me to have a better life, and I would agree with you in most cases, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean they're the right network. My wife and my family and my parents, they all want me to do great in life. I know that. They don't want anything wrong to happen. They don't wish me ill. But there are times when the people that are probably the closest to me maybe can't or aren't the right people to network with. And I don't mean that because they're bad people. I just want you to understand something, is that this is for progression purposes. This is not necessarily for love and support and encouragement. These are things that we should be getting from the people that we love, and that's our family in most cases. But in reality, the network that we build is really the way we get in progress. And so when I was first getting into business, I remember so many people used to tell me this concept, right? They used to say, David, there's this power in this network, and your network is your net worth. And I used to network with a lot of people. In fact, when I first got into business, my first business was a bar. And that bar was where I would network the most. I mean, I knew everybody who walked through the door. I knew everybody who, came in and patronized the place. I knew all the vendors that actually serviced us, that brought us the food and the drinks. I knew all the neighbors, like neighboring businesses, because they would, of course, talk to me. We'd talk and socialize. I knew a lot of people. And because of that bar, I really built a strong network of people. And that network, honestly, was what really started and built my career today in the professional world. And I say that because what happened was when I finally transitioned out of the bar business and I moved into the financial services business, I mean, a good percentage, let's say 80% of the people that I knew at that point associated me with the bar and became good friends with me. And because we became good friends, or at least contacts, what I did is I transitioned all those people to come do business with me in the tax business. And so that was a really good start to my network. It kicked off the right people. I used to say, man, this was such an easy year, my first year, because I had such a great network in the community. I had such good established roots in business. And it wasn't necessarily because I was associating with the right people. This was just really because I knew people. So first and foremost, the more people that you know, this is important, write this down. The more people that you know and the more people that know you, the more successful you'll be in business. See, my coach taught me this a few years ago, and it was really good. And he said, David, you don't need more money. You need more people, because the people that you know have the money, and they will exchange the money for opportunity. They'll exchange that money for services. They'll exchange that money for products. And because they'll exchange it, if you know more people, you'll have more opportunity. So your network really is the more people you know. Now, I want to talk and get real granular with this, because I want you to ask yourself today, who's in your network, right? So let's outline a few, right? So let's talk about, first and foremost, your family, right? That's your network. But let's get out of the household. Let's actually go into the world, right? Who's in your network professionally? How many people do you associate with outside of your household? How many friends do you have? How many associates do you have? How many partners do you have? How many opportunities through these people do you get? So I think about my network every day, because, I have learned that the more intentional, I think that's the next slide, right? The more intentional that you get with a network, the more clear it becomes who you should network with. Let me say that again. The more intentional you are with your network, the more clear it becomes to determine who you should network with. So for many years, I thought just hanging out with anybody was really a benefit to me. I used to think hanging out with, the guy that delivered the beer at the bar, he was a cool guy. I would network with him. I'd say, hey man, let's go to lunch today and hang out, right? And when I got into the tax business, I would take customers to lunch, and I would hang out with, people who were, maybe other small business owners. And, I think that's a good start for a network, right? That was a really good start, because these people had a little more influence, maybe knew a little bit more people. They networked at a higher level because they were forced to be around the world, if you will, in the area that I lived. And it was a really good start to the networking experience for me. But as I've evolved in my career, in my professional career, I've realized that there's a lot of people out there that just don't serve my professional growth. And I say that because a lot of the times when we would go to lunch or to dinner or to hang out, it was more like, hey man, did you hear about the news? Hey bro, did you hear what's going on in the community? Or hey, let's just go get drunk, or hey, let's just go hang out. And a lot of that was fun. And it was good times, right? I can say some of the best memories and some of the best relationships I built were from people just having, what we call bullshit talks, right? We're just out there having a good time. The challenge has been over the years is to start figuring out which of these networked relationships that I've built really helped me get further in my career. Because, I may have had a great conversation with them, but it really didn't push me any further than when I was before they met them, or before we had lunch, or before we had dinner. And I say this in all honesty, because time is the most valuable asset that you possess. And every time that you network, you're giving away time. And if you give away time, what you're doing is you are exchanging that time for something, hopefully of value. And if you don't get anything out of it, then there was no value exchange. So you actually just lost time. And so when I think about my network, I think about who am I going to actually want to hang out with that's going to tell me, David, we should be thinking about getting this much bigger, or we should be pushing this much harder, or we should be learning more about these things that will help us get ahead. And I remember so many conversations were just over, when I was a single guy, I was just over girls. When I was when I was getting into my business, it was over, what type of beer to order. Like these were silly conversations now, but back then those were things that I thought were just such good conversation. And as I become more intentional, I know none of that really matters anymore. Like it just doesn't matter. And so many people today believe their network is like their best friend that they can go and gossip with at lunch, and their good cousin that they can call and get drunk whenever they feel bad. Like these are things that you believe your network are, and it's not really that. And so here's really a good understanding of your network. And I kind of teased you with the slide just a minute ago, but the 5 people that you associate with the most. This was a a law, and I think this was Napoleon Hill, or I don't know if it was Covey. If anybody's on here and you've read this before, this was a concept coined by somebody very much more smart than I am, right? Much more intelligent, because what they said is, you are the equivalent of the 5 people that you associate with the most. You are the equivalent of the 5 people that you associate the most. Now, let me really hone down on this, okay? What I mean by the equivalent is, typically the 5 people that you hang out with the most probably make, all 5 and plus you, probably make about the same amount of money. You probably have about the same around skills. You probably have about the same around hobbies. And you probably are in the same, let's call it, place in your careers today. You see, these are things that I know because it's really true. I looked at myself, and this is Jim Rohn. Oh yeah, it was Jim Rohn. That's my boy, Jim Rohn. I see this all the time. And so some people tell me, well, David, I don't even have any friends. I don't go out. I just hang out with my kids. Well, then you're the equivalent of the 5 kids you hang out with all day, And if they read at a 3rd grade level, I promise you, you're probably reading at a 3rd grade level. You see, it's who you associate with that brings you up. If you really think about how we grow, the only way that we grow professionally or personally is by being exposed to different ideas, to different thoughts, to different places. That's the only way we grow. We would never know anything unless we were exposed to it. Like everything is just so, we're not going to call it random, but it's just, you only learn about something like a flavor of ice cream until you try it, right? You don't know what flavors you love until you try them all. And if you've never tried it, then you don't know if you love it or not, right? You've never experienced something. And so because you haven't experienced it, you don't even know it exists. And so what the 5 people around you do is, what they're doing is they're conditioning you to the same things over and over and over again. And so then that's just all you become used to. It's the normal to you. And because of that, it really limits your growth. And so what I like to do is I like to look at who the 5 people I associate with every so often, that I talk to the most, that I get with the most, that I talk to, and I like to evaluate, are they making me better? Are they making me worse? Are they keeping me the same? Because some of the 5 people in my original groups were making me worse, because all they wanted to do is just go out and every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night and go get drunk. Right. And then there's that transition to the 5 people, the next 5 people, and those people just wanted to gossip. And then the next 5 people just wanted to, chill. And so there's always been this group. And so what I always do is evaluate those 5 people. And I like to look and add to my group. I think, honestly, guys, I think the 5 people that you associate with the most probably should transition at least every 1 to 3 years. And if you do it faster, that's good. That means you're leveling up. You see, I don't hang out with the same people I hung out with even 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I don't. And I don't mean it in a negative way, but the people that served me a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, don't serve me today, because my mind is kind of expanded. I've been introduced to new ideas and concepts. And then when I get around them, the people 2 years ago, I can't even talk to them anymore. It's so weird. There's so many people that I absolutely love and care about. That doesn't mean I get rid of people in my life. It just means that I choose not to hang out with them or talk to them as much, because when we talk or hang out, we have nothing in common. We can't even hold the conversation, because my mind is trying to produce something, a big result, and their mind is trying to stay the same. And in fact, them hanging out with me may make them smarter, may make them better. But just like if you were to teach a child to read or to count or to do anything, right? If you have to go down to the level to be able to communicate with them. And every time you go down to somebody else's level, what you're doing is you're actually going contradictory to the world, to what's progress is equal to, which is going up. You don't want to unlearn things to talk to somebody. You want to learn to get to talk to somebody else. And so I've done this. Just this weekend, I was at a mastermind event, which we're going to talk about what that is. And I was at an event with about 4 other couples. And this was, an event put down that we've kind of invested in to get together with this group of guys and girls, which is our wives, and really just hone down on things that we really want to get clarity on and how we can pursue something better in life. And these guys, I didn't even know them 13, 14 months ago. But because of these guys who are all across the country, I've had the opportunity to expand my network and to associate with them. And now every time I talk to them, which is not every day, but at least once a week, I talk to all of them. they force me to think bigger. They force me to think differently because they are exposed to different things, and so am I, and I force them the same way. So the 5 people you hang out with. So let's continue with this because this is important, right? So how do you pick your network? This is really intentional stuff for me, because I think you're probably thinking, well, David, I really love hanging out with, my wife or my fiance or my boyfriend or girlfriend. I really like hanging out with my best friend we've been best friends since kindergarten. I really enjoy, going to my cousin's house on the weekends and watching football. Okay, all that stuff you can still do. I'm not telling you shouldn't hang out with people ever again, but I want you to be very intentional with your network. I want you to be very intentional. You see, do you have a career goal or a career path? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to, maybe take the next level? Maybe it's purchase your first home or your next home. Do you want to be able to invest in different types of, let's say, assets like crypto or in real estate or stocks and bonds? Do you really want to evolve and purchase that new piece of property that you can build on? Do you really want to grow? Well, see, studies show that most homeowners hang out with other homeowners, and most people who rent hang out with other people who rent. You see, if you hang out with people who rent all day, then how are you going to expect to think about owning a home? But if you start hanging out with people who own a home and you rent, what happens is you start thinking, man, I could do this too. Man, this is gorgeous. Man, this is beautiful. And the exposure starts forcing you to get clear on how to get to that path of home ownership. So you have to be real intentional, right? If you want to quit drinking, you don't hang out with people who like to drink all day. You got to be real intentional. You got to be real intentional. You see, some of the habits that you have today are not necessarily habits that you would do on your own. You only do them when you're around certain people. And some of those habits serve your intentions and some don't. Some should be eliminated and some should be added, right? If you want to get into a better shape in your life, let's say physically, you don't want to hang out with people who don't work out. You want to start going to places where people who work out so you can associate with them. And then you can say, hey, let's go work out on Friday, or let's hit the gym on Monday, right? Let's go do some cardio on Saturday. You see, I have friends like that. I have friends today that I just message right now. Like I can message right now and say, hey, Saturday morning, let's go for a run. And they're like, yeah, I'm all in. That's the kind of network that you need to have. Now, the reason I tell you this is because sometimes it's going to be painful when you have to be intentional. When you shouldn't be drinking every day, and Sunday's coming around and the football season's coming, or Saturday, whatever, Saturday for college, Sunday for NFL, whatever. And you shouldn't be drinking, then you need to lay off your network that does that every weekend and say, okay, look, I'm not going to call that person. I'm not going to go to their house. I'm not going to invite people over. I'm not going to buy any beer. I'm not going to buy any food to cook because I just need to chill on this stuff. It doesn't serve my intentions. I want to not drink less so I can lose weight. I can feel better. I can wake up on Monday and go to the gym. I can push really hard. See, your network must be intentional. This is hardest thing people will ever get because all they think about is happiness and comfort. And I'm here to tell you guys, if you want to make $1 million, you got to hang out with millionaires. If you want to own a new house, you must hang out with people who own new houses. If you really want to be successful in life, you must hang out with people who are seeking success. And that is an intentional thought. You can't do that by hanging out with people who don't think this way. Now, does that mean you neglect or ignore or disregard all the other people in your life who don't serve your intentions? No, because I still talk to and sometimes hang out with my childhood best friends, right? I still hang out with my family and I still hang out with the people that I love. I'm not neglecting them in some way and saying, hey guys, I don't want to ever talk to you in my whole life ever again. I just know when I can and when I can't. I just make a decision to do it when it's on my terms, when it's on my time, right? I tell people that all the time. See, if you tried to get me to go to lunch with you, like today or anytime this week, if you're asking me to go to lunch with you and I have no, let's call it intentional time to give to you because I don't think I'm going to get anything out of it, then you're probably going to hear me say, I don't have the time to do it. That sucks because there's a lot of people who do invite me to lunch. Or if somebody said, hey, let's hang out on Friday. And I just was like, hey man, I don't have time for that. Like maybe next week, maybe future, maybe sometime later. I mean, I'm not intentionally lying to them because typically I have something to do, but even if I didn't, I can't give up time if it's not going to make me better. So here's some things you can do to develop a network. All right. First off, you can attend events, local events. There's Chamber of Commerce events, there's market events, there's business and networking events, there's clubs, there's associations. So join a professional association. Join a professional association. So there could be professional associations for tax preparers, insurance agents, real estate agents, doctors, nurses, engineers, medical assistants. There's so many associations in the world that you can network with to build relationships. You can join social groups. There's groups, there are groups out there like the Rotary Club or the Lions Club. These are clubs that all they do is work towards doing good things in the community, and that's actually intentional time. You could start a group. Golly, that's even more powerful, right? Starting your own group. And honestly, just recently I formed a little mastermind group with some people in my area. We call it a mastermind. So what is a mastermind? I want to get into that, right? So what is the purpose of a mastermind? A mastermind is a group of peer-to-peer mentoring groups used to help members solve their problems with the input and advice from the other group members. Now, this was a concept coined by a guy named Napoleon Hill. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, or The Law of Success. And this book really changed my life. And this concept is something that we just practiced this weekend. You see, what we did this weekend, for an example, and this might be something that you would want to do with some of your friends and just people that you trust and have intentional purposes just like you, that new network. What we did is we all went to this meeting with a purpose to get clarity on a concept that we wanted to take to the world. You see, we're all trying to pursue great things. We all want to help more people. We all want to solve more problems. We all want to be more successful. That's the purpose of a mastermind that I'm in. And when we went there, we actually went around the table and said, okay, tell me what you're working on. Tell me how it serves your purpose. How does it get you to the next point in your life? And then they would tell us, and then we'd say, okay, now get up and present that to me. And literally we would watch each other present the concept, the idea, the purpose, the outline, the plan. And then what we would do is we would give feedback. I mean, it's very painful to do this because obviously all of us have our inner voice that's, hey, maybe this won't work. We have our doubts and our fears and our uncertainty, and it becomes very painful. But when you're around a mastermind of people who want to give advice and input to help the other members of the group, it is one of the most beautiful, harmonious things that you could ever do in your life. And you can do this really with as little as 2 people, but the more the merrier. I mean, actually, I would say no more than 6, but as little as 2. So that could be you and one of your friends. It could be you. Honestly, the most powerful mastermind that you can possess is between you and your significant other. That's the most powerful mastermind that you could conceive. And once you understand that, what happens is the sharing of ideas, the guidance and advice, the input that is given. This is wow concept that you'll ever get. And you should read about this. You can Google Napoleon Hill, you can Google masterminding, there's tons of articles and things out there that can help you to establish this. But really it's just everybody being intentional. Imagine going into a room, just to be clear, just give you this idea, right? Imagine going into a room where nobody's out there just talking about what happened on Dancing with the Stars last night, and well, maybe that's boring to you, right? Maybe what happened on the football game and who's winning what and who's in office and who's running for office and all that. Imagine taking all that noise out of there and walking into a room with a bunch of people who are just so focused on life, and they're just like, look, man, I'm not doing enough. I don't feel good. I'm not happy. I need help. Please help me. Man, it's such a powerful thing. So if you can do that. So that was really the most that I wanted to deliver today. So I want to add a few things here. Actually, I'm going to leave it on this slide and if you have questions about masterminding, peer groups, networks, those kind of things, put it in the chat, please. So here's what I want you to get out of this. Today wasn't for me to tell you that you needed to get rid of all the beautiful people in your life, because there's so many beautiful people out there that I love, right? I've got a team that I love dearly, which supports me, and I support them. I've got friends that I couldn't do anything without. I have a really loving family that, I adore every day. And I'm so grateful that they helped me to this point in my life and have really supported my growth. All of those people will support me and cheer me on. I get it. Right. And I think that sometimes we underestimate support, or actually we confuse support, right, with the ability to help. And let me state that a little differently, right? Sometimes we think that whatever they can help us or support us with by words of encouragement and we'll call it criticism, but it's really feedback that we get from our family, our friends, and our significant others. Sometimes we think that's the only thing we can get. And so whatever they tell us is kind of our cap. It's the law of the cap, right? Or the lid, right? The law of the lid from John Maxwell. He always talks about that, right? You can only grow as much as, the leader grows. And I think that if you were just to step out of that and say, look, I know they're always going to support me. At least I hope. I think they're going to love me and they're going to want me to do better. I need to go find some people out there who think like me. I need to go out there and meet people who really want to do great things in the world just like me. Because if you're watching this, I have some pretty strong conviction that you want to do great things in the world, that you want to deliver, that you want to grow. You know, our event, and let me go here, watch this Free Hunger Nation, which is coming up. You know, our Feeding 5,000 event. This is a huge deal. And if you haven't heard of this, this is where we try to feed 5,000 families during the Thanksgiving holiday to bring meals to these families in hopes to create a memory that lasts a lifetime. And this is by somewhat definition a network. You see, we're all like-minded people. We don't get together and talk about anything other than like, how do we get more families fed? In fact, the day of the event is one of the most beautiful days you'll ever experience in a networking event, because imagine a room or a building filled with 50 to 100 people who all have the same purpose, the same commitment, the same drive, the same outcome, which is let's go feed some families. You go in there and you see people working. Actually, that's such a good definition of harmonious work. It's just such a definition. I have video after video, pictures that'll show where we build assembly lines and we work together and we push the bags through and we package and then we take out, and we sort out, and we put them in trucks and vehicles, and then we load and we deliver. Boom, 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 boom. Like it's over and over and over again. And there's nobody chit-chatting about anything else than the cause and the purpose. This is by definition right there, the network that you want to have. Everybody working in the same direction, everybody pushing a little harder, everybody doing the right things and rowing in the same direction. Because when you get around people who don't all have the same ideas, concepts, drive, or mission, what happens is they're rowing that way and you're rowing this way and somebody else is rowing that way. And so the ship just never goes anywhere because we're all in the same boat, but we're all rowing different directions. So we just stay in the same place because we're all fighting each other on concepts, ideas, and growth strategy. See, I'm not there's a lot of beliefs that I share. I strongly believe in, right? I strongly believe that education isn't always the path. Like let's say formal education. I believe that knowledge is not power. I think applied knowledge is power. And if I hang out with people who believe those things, then it comes to me, right? I believe that the power of a mastermind is one of the greatest concepts that's ever been formed. And with a mastermind, you can actually exceed and excel and develop and grow and become more than you are today through that support system. See, my beliefs are driving me to find the people in my life that want to have the same things. And if you're starting out and you're thinking this is a hard concept to understand, or you're starting out and you're thinking, well, I don't know anybody. That's why I said, join some groups, get into some associations, go online. You can do all of this through Zoom, through Google Meet, through Hangouts, through Teams, all of these platforms that use video, Facebook Messenger, all of them can be used to build a network. You don't necessarily even have to be in the same room with somebody, although that does help. I just believe that you need to get around people who have the same ideas, who push in the same direction, who really want to have more in life, and who want the same things that you want, which is to progress, not to stay the same. See, and once you get around people who really want that, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back to people who don't dream big when you're dreaming big. It's hard to go back to hang out with people who value, getting drunk on Sunday afternoon when you're really preparing for the week to take over and to have the breakthroughs on Monday. When you really want to get to the gym on Monday, but you're too hungover and you say, I can't have this anymore. And you need to stop hanging out with those people who don't want to get rid of it. Now you can go back to them and influence them and say, hey, you should probably not do this. But let me tell you, when the student is ready, a teacher will appear, and 9 out of 10 times you ain't that teacher. It's one of my favorite quotes. When the student is ready, a teacher will appear, and 9 out of 10 times you won't be that teacher. They need to hear a new voice. They need to hear it from a new perspective. They need to have their own breakthroughs in most cases. And I wish I could have breakthroughs for everyone. I mean, there's some people in my life right now, I wish I could go and just shake them, right? And just say, come on, man, like, let's get it together. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I just want to shake some people. And you guys, if you're watching this or watching the replay, you know who you are. I just want to shake you and just say, hey, look, man, you can do so much more with your life. You're missing your untapped potential. You are not pursuing the greatest things in the world because you are too busy hanging out with the people who don't want to pursue anything in the world, right? You're too busy going to dinner with your family. Don't get me wrong, I love my family. And I mean, not my wife, but like my family. You're too busy going out with them who don't have the ambitions and goals and drive that you do. right? You're too busy doing that instead of finding people who you could go to dinner with who have the same drive and ambitions until you find them to go to dinner, right? You've got to avoid those things. Now, here's one last thing, and I'm gonna add to this because this is probably the one way that you can get mentored and grow without having to actually go out there into the world. I would tell you that you can get network and grow through things like book clubs and associations. Actually, I saw one of our guests here today. His name's Stacy Barnes. If you saw him on here, you can chat with him or find him on Facebook. He always does book clubs. He does coaching events. He has networking events all online that you could help and be part of. Right? These are things. My coach, Michael Burt, Coach Burt, you can go to his website. There's always events to go to, things that you can network with, things you can have. I'm having an event early spring of 2022. I have online webinars. We have boot camps. All of these things. We even have a Facebook group called the 30-Day Shift, which we're working through right now. These are opportunities to network and mastermind, okay, and to build networks. So I encourage you to connect with me. If you haven't got a copy of my book, Building Your Own Economy, it's probably the one thing that I would encourage you to do. This is a foundation. You know, building your own economy, again, is the belief in that your economy is the only thing that matters, not what goes on in the world, not what goes on in our country, not what goes on in your state, not what goes on in your region. Doesn't matter. It's what goes in your house, not in the White House. And the way you do that is through managing and monitoring the 4 major components of your economy and how you build and structure those sort of things so that you don't ever have any worry in life. It's a carefree life, okay? And I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have any questions here, I'm going to tick off this so I can just say bye, everybody. I have been honored and blessed to have such a great network over the course of my career. And it's never, ever been easy to find the right people to network with. And it will always evolve. It will always change. It will always grow and expand because of the fact that you should grow and expand. You should change. You know, you're not a tree, as Jim Rohn says. You're not a tree. A tree can never move. It can only grow as tall as it can be, and that's it. Right? You're not a tree. You're a human being. You have the ability, you've been given God's grace, and you have the opportunity to be able to transplant yourself, to transmutate yourself, if you will, into whoever it is that you want to be. And the only way you're going to do that is through getting exposure and getting into a network that's really going to support your growth and development. So if you haven't already found a network, please connect. If you need advice or guidance, please message me. I'd love to work with you in some way, shape, or form, or guide you in the right direction if I can. Life is not easy alone, and it's definitely not easy when you don't have people around you who really think the way you do, especially if you are a high thinker and you're somebody who wants to do more. I know you love your significant others and your family as much, but sometimes those people aren't the people who are going to push you to the next level. And the cool thing about it, though, for the people that you really are close to, like your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend or your fiance, whatever you want to call them, the cool thing about this is when you really start building networks, you get to bring them along. You know, you get to hey, come, let me introduce you to the most beautiful people we can bring into our lives, because these people are going to help us get a little farther. And that's what I've seen in my life. And it's been such an amazing feeling to see and to grow and to have such amazing people in my network that I can call upon anytime I need something, anytime I need advice, anytime I need guidance, anytime I need to push myself a little harder and somebody needs to beat me up, I call somebody who needs to do that for me. And I've given them all permission to do it. And if you don't have those people in your life, it's because you haven't been intentional with your time, and you're probably committing time to people who don't serve your network. So rethink who you are associating with this week. I promise you, if you just did 7 days of intentional thought, should I hang out with them? Should we do this? Should we go there? Should we hang out with them? Be real intentional. And I promise it will change. All right, guys, I really appreciate you. And thank you so much for being a part of this. If you guys need anything, have a great day. Bye-bye.